Alright, yeah. I'm doing 2-in-1 for today. Let's see how I do like this. Oh, you guys can barely see me. So sorry about that. So yeah, doing two videos in one. Um YouTube notification. Oh god. Alright. Yeah, so going for another video, another binging with Babish video. Another one centered on the Sopranos. This was the second one. Carmela, Ziti, and Lasagna. And from what I remember, this was during season 4 after Bobby's first wife died, and then Janice is trying to be, becomes a little bit closer with Bobby. Of course, Janice is a pretty unbearable character. There are unbearable characters on The Sopranos. AJ, for example, was a dick. You know, he was a dick a lot. I think starting with season 2 or 3. I think season 2 though, but Ugh. But yeah, I remember the ziti and lasagna that Janice passed for her own. Let's just watch some, Babish, and more importantly, let's watch some Sopranos. Let me see, but just let me do some checks here. Alright, 1080 settings. What are the captions like? Okay, I'm good enough without the captions.
That sausage, my mom made it with hamburger. See?
She made lasagna the other night. Delicious. With sweet sausage along with the beef. I thought Karen's was good, but...
Sweet sausage, in little pieces, and a layer of basil leaves right underneath the cheese?
That's right.
That's Carmela's lasagna.
You're talking about...
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week we're finally taking a look at some of Carm's specialties from The Sopranos, the secret ingredient of which seems to be a layer of basil underneath the cheese. Curious to see how that works out. Today we're making both ziti and lasagna, so we need to make a lot of sauce. I got this recipe directly from the Entertaining with The Sopranos cookbook, so it's pretty standard stuff.
I gotta get a
Sopranos
cookbook.
Onions, 6 cloves of crushed garlic, and a pound each ground beef, and sweet Italian sausage casings removed, and of course a bunch of
the
tomatoes.
casing.
And since I need a
That's funny how I always thought it was plastic, but I think it's some sort of edible casing that looks like plastic, but I think it's mostly, I don't know how they do it. I think it's from the fat of like pork skin. I don't know. I think it's pork skin. But yeah.
lot of sauce, I'm quadrupling all this stuff. Gonna have to lose the usual Dutch oven here because it's time to break out the big boy, into which we are gonna deposit a few healthy glugs of extra virgin olive oil, bring that to a shimmer over medium heat, add our onion, sweat that guy out till he's soft and translucent, and then add our crushed garlic, sauteing for an additional minute until fragrant. The recipe specifies adding the sausage and beef at this point with the onions, but that just doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm setting the onions and garlic aside and browning up our sausage and beef in batches until it's nice and crumbly and brown. Then I'm going to drain off most of the fat, add the onions and garlic back to the pot, and add our tomatoes. 4 28-ounce cans of San Marzano tomatoes lightly crushed. Add our brown beef and sausage back to the party, stir to combine, and then we're also going to fill one of our tomato cans with water and dump it into the sauce. This sauce stands to lose a lot of moisture during the 1.5 hours it's about to spend on the stovetop. We're going to cover this guy up and bring him to a rolling... Oh boy, that's too much of a simmer. Easy, baby. Shh, 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 shh. Once your sauce is a little bit more calmed down, we're going to partially cover, reduce the heat way down low, about as low as your stove will go, and keep this just barely bubbling, stirring occasionally to make sure that nobody's scorching on the bottom of the pot for 1.5 hours, until the flavors are deep and sweet and melded and complex. Make sure you scrape down all this good stuff off the side of the pot too. It's essentially tomato paste, and it's going to help amp up the flavor of the sauce a little bit. Then, during the last 5 minutes of cooking, we are adding a bunch of chopped basil, as well as seasoning to taste with kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper. All in all, this is a totally serviceable Italian meat sauce. I can only think of a couple things that I would do differently. Those are adding a few tablespoons of tomato paste to the onions and garlic before adding the tomatoes, and letting the sauce simmer with both a Parmesan cheese rind and a whole stem of basil. Either way, we're going to transfer this over to another vessel because this pot is perfect for boiling pasta. Lasagna noodles in particular, because they can be a bit finicky to cook. One of the central tenets of lasagna making is to make sure that you wildly undercook your pasta. You want it to be almost crunchy, which means no more than 4 minutes in the boiling water and then immediately removing into a pot or bowl of nice cool water to halt the cooking. Then, just like my mama used to do, we're laying these out onto a lint-free kitchen towel and setting those aside so as that we can begin assembly. Let's get our nice warm sauce off the stovetop, and then I'm going to use an aluminum foil lasagna pan so Janice can steal it and pass it off as her own. First, we're going to start with a healthy layer of sauce. We don't want any noodles sticking to the bottom of the pan. And then it's time to start shingling in our pasta. Depending on the size of your pasta and the size of your pan, some surgery may be required to fill in all the gaps, but no matter, just try to flip the pattern every layer to maintain the lasagna's structural integrity. Next up, the recipe calls for a generous spread of ricotta, a lasagna ingredient to which I am personally opposed, but who am I to eschew tradition, followed by a healthy grating, maybe half an ounce of Parmesan cheese, and then here we go with the layer of basil leaves. I'm very curious to see how this is going to work out because not only does it seem like a lot of basil, I also see it causing cutting issues down the line. Carm then tops this up with a layer of thinly sliced fresh mozzarella cheese. Again, something I can't totally recommend because there's a lot of moisture in this and it might give us a soupy lasagna. Top that with another layer of sauce, and then it's time to rinse and repeat until we can't rinse and repeat no more. All told, I got 3 full layers, which seems respectable, and then on the final layer, we're just going to hit it with a generous coating of tomato sauce and a generous grating of Parmesan cheese. This is something I never really understood about old school lasagna recipes, which never seem to include mozzarella on top, which I think makes the lasagna easier to cut down the line. I'm also just going to hit this with a little bit of salt and freshly ground pepper. I don't think this is totally necessary, but I'm going to go ahead and pretend that it's traditional. Then we're going to cover this guy tightly with aluminum foil and place in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for
I'm not complaining. I like it when
This is
Ant
going to
does
give
that.
the lasagna noodles time to finish cooking and get everybody melty and happy. Then we're going to uncover and place back in the oven for 15 to 30 minutes until it's browned and bubbly on top. And I gotta say, this looks exactly like how I always imagined Garfield's lasagna looked. So, whoops, wrong episode. Either way, we're letting this sit for at least 15 minutes before digging in. And as predicted, we've got some basil leaf interference here, but no matter because this is a pretty solidly stacked lasagna. And as it turns out, there's absolutely no such thing as too much basil. I just kind of wish it was chopped up and mixed up with the ricotta or something so it's a little bit more evenly dispersed and less intrusive in my lasagna consumption. If you want to see the badass from scratch Brad Leone and Babish style lasagna, go check out my Garfield lasagna video in the upper right hand corner right now, because otherwise we're on to making ziti, the oft discussed but rarely seen Carmela specialty. First up, we're cooking a pound of ziti to very al dente, about 5 minutes tops, extracting into a large bowl and tossing with a cup or two of gravy. Give that a nice mixeroo, and then it's time to negotiate our cheese. Everybody who's anybody loves little chunks of mozzarella in their baked ziti, so that's what we're gonna do. Another aluminum casserole, because all this stuff is going to neighbors and friends so I don't die. Spread half of the sauce ziti over the bottom of the casserole, and then we're gonna top that up with some gobs of ricotta. Again, I must object, but we are going for accuracy here. Spread that out as evenly as possible, and then sprinkle our half-inch chunks of fresh mozzarella over top. We are then going to top that up with a generous grating of Parmesan cheese, maybe ounce and a half's worth. The remaining half of our ziti, which we're going to spread out nice and even, make sure that none of that cheese is exposed to oxygen. Then we're going to top the whole thing off with another cup or two of gravy. Nothing is sadder in this world than under-sauced baked ziti. And lastly, another ounce or so of grated Parmesan until it looks like a nice light snowfall. And then it's the exact same process as before. We're covering tightly with aluminum foil and placing in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 30 minutes. Removing and unwrapping so we can expose all that cheese and pasta to the loving warmth of the oven, and placing back inside for 15 to 20 minutes until it looks like this. Browned and bubbly and crispy and saucy and happy. Now again, this recipe makes a perfectly serviceable baked ziti. I'm almost less opposed to the Parmesan only topping because we're scooping instead of slicing, so a crispy, crunchy top is actually nice and welcome. The sauce is delicious, the cheese is delicious, the pasta is delicious, the ricotta's okay. We got ourselves a winner and an obvious member of the Clean Plate Club. But can we do better? And the answer is yes, by simply flying in the face of all tradition. My first atrocity, to use rigatoni instead of ziti. I like the ridges which help grab onto the sauce,
Oh,
little
yeah,
bits of
too.
meat, and help make
You
each
sure
bite a
wanna
little
anger
bit
the
more
Italian American
inclusive.
community?
Next up, the mozzarella. Instead of fresh, we're going to use low moisture, full fat. This stuff melts up beautifully without pissing a bunch of extra liquid into our pasta al forno. Next up, and this is the really crazy one here, 16 ounces of cottage cheese. Cottage cheese gets super creamy instead of grainy when baked up, so it's going to be really nice. To that, we're going to add 2 whole eggs and about 2 ounces of grated Parmesan cheese. I'm also going to add some optional freshly grated nutmeg. This is going to add some really beautiful, nutty, old school Italian flavor. Give that a cursory mix together, and then comes the basil, chopped up into little bite-sized pieces to maximize both flavor and mouth convenience. Add that to our cheese mixer, give it a good normal-sized whiskin, and then the final and I think most awesome element, a bechamel, which I think you could add to any one of the recipes today because it's going to make our end product super creamy and rich. Into a medium saucepan goes 3 tablespoons of butter melted, followed by 3 tablespoons of flour, whisked together and cooked for 1 minute before slowly streaming in 2 cups of milk. Whisking constantly and cooking for an additional 1 to 2 minutes until a thick, creamy bechamel forms. And then it's time to bring it all together. Into the pasta goes a couple cups of gravy, our beautiful bechamel sauce, and our cottage cheese, egg, parmesan, and basil mixture. Give that a nice little mix until everybody's homogeneous and a little bit cooled off so we can add 8 ounces of cubed, low moisture mozzarella. Just give that a little mix until everybody's evenly dispersed throughout, and then evacuate into our aluminum pan thing. I've run out of things to call it. Make sure everybody's spread out evenly
This
and top with
aluminum
1 to 2
pan.
cups of extra gravy. And then I'm going to top that with half a pound of shredded mozzarella, which will hopefully melt into one nice even layer, and then I'm going to top that with another ounce of grated Parmesan. Did somebody just say that's too much cheese? I'm going to go ahead and ask you to leave. Same exact procedure as
There's
before.
no such
Cover
thing
at
as too much
350
cheese,
oven,
in my
30
opinion.
minutes, take out, unwrap, put back in oven, 15 20
Awesome.
minutes. Lightly brown, bubbly around the edges. And if you ask me, looking absolutely perfect. But you don't judge a ziti by its topmost layer, or a rigatoni in this case. Either way, this is the best pasta al forno that I've ever had in my 32 years. The pasta is perfectly cooked with an almost vodka sauce-like creaminess to it. The flavors are complex and layered. It's a good thing Carmela didn't make this ziti because otherwise Father Phil might have been a lot harder to get rid of. Next up, some of Artie Bucco's recipes from Vesuvio.
Wait. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look it up now. After the song. Sorry, the music is awesome. Okay. Enchiladas from Schitt's Creek. Yeah, the 5 million subscriber special, the recreating Homer Simpson's New Orleans thing there. Wait, I'm wondering though if Andrew actually did do some of Artie Bucco's recipes, because I don't think he has. If not, Andrew, what the hell are you up to? In fact, instead of Big Smoke Torture, now that I think about it, 10 million subscriber special, almost all the foods of the Sopranos. There it is! Gabagool! Yes. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. What do we do if someone he wants less cheese? We ask them politely yet firmly to leave. Imagine what it'd be like to look next to this guy and get all his leftovers. I've imagined that too. You know, it would be an honor to have Andrew Ree as your neighbor, but I don't live in New York, so yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, but whoever is his neighbor, that's like, let's see, Sopranos. Oh, damn it, I wrote A twice. How the hell did I write A twice? Alright, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, no, just the Johnny Cakes and the Carmela's lasagna and her mysterious ziti. Yeah. Let's see, no, Goodfellas Wire Special, Goodfellas Prison Sauce, Bracciole from Everybody Loves Raymond, Godfather Cannoli, Hot Dogs from Scratch. No, I don't really think there's any. There should actually be an episode, you know, at least just to make some of. I'm gonna look it up now. Let's see. Artie buco recipes. Yeah. Oh, there's a cookbook, as they say, as compiled by Audi Bucco. Sopranos Italian recipes to make at home. All right, let's see this. La Cucina Italiana. All right. I don't give a shit about cookies. All right. I just want to see what are the Italian recipes, even though I'm not Italian myself. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, I think this is like a shot of like the entire cast. I could see it. As let's see, Michael Imperioli, Jamie Lynn Sigler. Um, Not really Steven Van Zandt. No, Tony Sirico and James Gandolfini and Cannoli did. Yeah. Which ones are they? Monacat or let's see. Yeah, the Monacat. Cannolis, ricotta pie. I'm still looking at it here. But apparently there is a Sopranos cookbook. That's interesting. I should get that. Yeah, the Sopranos family cookbook. I should probably there's if I get the PDF, I'm downloading it. As compiled by Audibuco. Hey. Yeah. What the Oh god. My nana literally screamed, "Oh what the are you doing?" At the video when you replaced ricotta with cottage cheese. I've never heard her cuss like that. Tori Lombardi. Yeah, Italian. Mm, it's handle. I almost had a heart attack. I thought, oh, no, Andrew, don't do that. That's Karen Ziti. It's the last one she made before she died. Huh. I don't really remember Karen Ziti. I'm not ready to eat that yet. I don't think anyone was ready to eat that. Damn right, there isn't. Pours the sauce through the handle of the pan. Everyone else. What? Nope. Can Ziti now? AJ was such a punk kid, but that always. AJ was a dick. Yeah. I actually remembered hearing about how Robert Euler, who plays AJ on the show, after the show ended, he kind of suffered with drug and alcohol abuse. I think he's been sober since for like 8 years now. I don't know. Someone from New Jersey. You can totally identify someone's mother from their lasagna. Yeah. Um, Grandfather was from Hoboken, married a Pensacola, Florida girl. So all our family lasagna is legit, but we use too much cottage cheese instead of nasty ricotta. Oh dear God. Oh God. Okay, well, I've got to end the video here. This was Binging with Babish, ZD and Lasagna from The Sopranos. I'll leave a link to the original video down below, as well as a link to Andrew's channel, link to my Instagram as well. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna just leave you all with, Godspeed, everyone. Take care. Actually, Gabagool. I paused wrong. Gabagool.